Hi, I'm Annette Kershner.
And I'm Annette Maldonado.
And we're with MyRealtorAnnetteAZ team at HomeSmart Professionals here in the heart of downtown Flagstaff, Arizona.
Our team creates weekly videos to educate buyers and sellers about the Flagstaff real estate market and the buying and selling process. In last week's video, we discussed first-time homebuyer tips in our Part 1 video.
Today, we're going to discuss first-time homebuyer tips Part 2.
In last week's video, we discussed some of the things you should do to get your finances in order before you qualify for a home loan. We talked about your credit score and applying for a home loan with a lender. So if you haven't seen that video, check out our first-time homebuyer tips video, Part 1.
In this week's video, we're going to discuss everything that happens from the day that the seller accepts your offer all the way through until the day you get the keys and close on your home.
So after you found the perfect home and you've submitted your offer to the seller, here are some steps that follow after that process.
When the seller accepts your offer and both parties have signed and accepted the contract, your earnest deposit, usually about 1% of the purchase price, will be due within 48 hours of contract acceptance per the purchase contract, and it is deposited in your escrow account. MyRealtorAnnetteAZ team uses these guidelines. However, it could be different from agent to agent or state to state.
Your contract is now in escrow with the title company. You will then be contacted by the title company and an escrow officer to handle the transaction.
A title company is a third party that handles all legal paperwork to complete the transaction. The title company will order a title commitment. So, what is a title commitment? This is a document issued by the title company, and this document is a promise to issue a title insurance policy. Broken down a little more, this document is a map for your escrow officer, and they will use to cure any defects on the property to make sure the transfer's free and clear. The title company will also hold all documents and money as required in the purchase contract and guaranteed no funds or properties will change hands until all contract requirements have been fulfilled.
There will be a close of escrow date on the purchase contract. This can vary, but it's usually about 30 to 45 days from the date of contract acceptance. So there's a lot of requirements that need to be fulfilled in a timely manner before that date.
The close of escrow date will also be the date that you will do your pre-closing walkthrough, recordation, and get the keys to your new home. Also, be aware of wire fraud. If you are contacted by anyone other than the escrow officer with directions on wiring money to them, please do not send them money. Contact the escrow officer immediately and or your agent.
Cyber fraud is very prevalent, and wire fraud imposters are waiting for an opportunity to catch you off guard and steal your money.
Within 3 days of mutual contract acceptance, the seller must send the buyer a seller property disclosure statement, also called the SPUDS. The seller must, by law, disclose any hidden defects that they know about on the property while they have lived in it. They also need to document any major repairs that have been completed and any hazards that they know of at the home.
Also, the seller will provide the buyer with a 5-year insurance claim history regarding the premises. You should receive this within 5 days after the contract acceptance.
If for any reason the buyer doesn't like the information on the seller property disclosure statement, they can cancel the contract or accept the information on that document and continue with the sale.
There are 3 tests that we suggest you do: home, pest, and radon. The home, pest, and radon inspections can cost the buyer about $800 depending on the size of the home and the year of the home. These are non-refundable costs to the buyer.
This is also known as your due diligence period, also known as the inspection period. The inspection period is usually within 10 to 15 days of mutual contract acceptance. The buyer's agent and the buyer should hire a home, pest, and a radon inspector to give their professional opinion about the home.
On a home inspection, don't expect the report to be flawless on a resale home. The inspector is generally going to be looking for major defects like roof problems, ceiling stains, which would indicate water damage, water intrusion in areas like basements, or improper drainage problems or electrical problems, all the safety issues like old wiring, plumbing, and electrical issues. He's going to be looking for any safety issues in the home. Furthermore, the home inspector may suggest to you that you bring in other subcontractors such as roofers, heating and cooling, or even mold specialist, or even a general contractor. But remember, if you don't like what you see on the report, you can negotiate these repairs with the seller, or cancel the contract and get your earnest deposit, and it should be refunded. But you will absorb the cost of all these inspections.
The buyer pays for this expense, and the cost for a home inspection usually ranges between $400 and $600. That's pending the size and the year the home was built.
It is also recommended that the buyer pay to have a radon test on the property. This radon test costs about $170 here in Flagstaff, and this test is very important. It is to check for radon gas, which is a radioactive gas found in the soil, and with continued exposure, it can cause lung cancer.
If the radon particulates are more than 4%, then a mitigation system must be installed to remove the gas from the home. We would address this and ask the seller to pay for the mitigation system prior to closing on the home. About 30% of the homes in Flagstaff test positive for elevated radon levels. The EPA allows 4% particulate. You can find a link below from the EPA website with great detailed information. It's down there in our description.
And finally, a pest inspection will check for termites, carpenter ants, rotten wood, and faulty grade around the home. Wood to earth contact and excessive motion.
After you have completed the inspections, you will create a buyer inspection notice and a seller's response form. We will create this list, and it will ask the seller to repair.
In Arizona, the buyer submits their repair list to the seller, and the seller has 5 days to respond. If the seller is unwilling or unable to correct any of the items disapproved, the buyer may cancel their purchase contract within 5 days after delivery of the seller's response. If the buyer does not cancel this contract within 5 days, the buyer shall close escrow without corrections of those items that the seller has not agreed in writing to correct.
An appraisal will be ordered by your lender. An appraiser will research all properties that have been sold with similar square footage, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, interior and exterior upgrades. This determines the appraisal value of the home based on comparable homes that are similar.
Lenders will want to see that the property appraises for the amount that they are lending on.
If the house doesn't appraise for the purchase price on the contract, this is a different situation that will need to be addressed.
The lender must disclose to the buyer within 3 days of application date the loan estimate, which is also called an LE. This information will contain information on your loan, including the loan interest rate and the monthly payment. So you will know exactly that information before your closing date, so there won't be any surprises.
The closing disclosure, also known as the CD, must be in the hands of the buyer no later than 3 days prior to close of escrow. This form is also known as a HUD-1, and this form will disclose all closing costs, fees to the buyer.
An appointment will be set by all parties to sign the closing documents, and the closing is recorded with the county recorder's office. This is also the exciting day that you get the keys to your new home.
Our team works really hard to guide you through the buying process or selling process. We will be with you every step of the way. So feel free to reach out to us and let us know if you have any questions about the buying and selling process. We are here with you every step of the way. Please leave any comments below and we'll be happy to answer them. Take care. Bye.
See you next week.